All right, guys. Please, go gentle.
Well, Mike, it seems like we've been talking about this fight for a long time,
Yes.
possibly happening. Now that it's here, certainly you're no stranger to big fights, but does it feel special to you?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I was supposed to fight Gegard Mousasi, and whilst I was excited, fighting in London, very excited, it was just another in a long list of opponents. It was just another name, another fight. Dana called, offered Anderson Silva. And of course, it changes everything. You know, this is a huge fight, biggest fight of my career. I'm returning to London, my first fight in the in England for 5-6 years against, you know, the greatest of all time, you know, the legend that is Anderson Silva. So of course, this changes everything. I'm very excited.
You've been respectful and always call him the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
but I think you've been willing to point out his flaws as well.
Well, it's funny you use the word point, but because he can't point to anything by the sounds of it. Listen, Anderson's a great fighter. He's achieved many things, but the fact of the matter is he tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs in his last fight. Apparently that was the first time he's been tested. That's what he said. His words, not mine. A cynic would lead one to believe that he was used in his whole career. So, you know, shame on him. You know, how he calls himself a martial artist and then takes performance-enhancing drugs is beyond me. It really is.
Why don't you believe it was the first time?
Why not? Because at 39 years old, having the career that he's had, being Anderson Silva, the mighty Anderson Silva, that's destroyed everybody, that has this finishing ability. Don't tell me at 39 years old somebody's going to say, here, try steroids. And at that age, having the career and having the legacy that he has, that he's going to decide to put all that at risk. No, he would have the confidence and state of mind to know, I don't need that. I am Anderson Silva. I have achieved all these things. I don't need to cheat. But he didn't do that, and that's because he was doing it his whole career. And if you look at him, in Pride, he weighed in at 168 pounds. He now walks around at 40 pounds heavier.
So was there any part of you...
Do the math.
Was there any part of you that thought, I'm not taking this fight, this guy doesn't deserve this opportunity, this fight, you know, because he is a cheater?
Well, there was a part of me that did feel like that, but at the end of the day, this is a bucket list fight for me. It's a fight that I always wanted. It's a fight that I lobbied for a long time. Of course, it's bittersweet. He's no longer the champion, but still, it's a nice name to have on my resume. You know, I can tell the kids I fought Anderson Silva, and yeah, and the UK want to see that. You know, the UK want these big names on, so come on, let's do this.
You've always said that you wanted to fight the
Fantastic, no
legendary
injuries.
Anderson Silva. Do you feel that he is no longer legendary after all of this?
No, he is still who he is. He's achieved what he's achieved, and that will never change. And he has a huge standing in this sport. No disrespect to Gegard Mousasi. I was fighting him, people were saying, you know, in the street, I don't know, you getting a coffee, whatever. Who's your next fight? I'd say Gegard Mousasi. They'd say, who? I'd say, oh, don't worry about it, he's super tough. I was in Starbucks recently, somebody said, when's your next fight? I said, I'm fighting Anderson Silva. They're like, holy shit. Yeah, everybody knows who Anderson is, so it doesn't change a thing.
If you win, what will this do for your career?
If I win, it will validate a lifetime's hard work, but it will put me in a good position to contend for the belt. That's what I've always wanted. It's still a desire that burns within me very strongly, and I think when I beat Anderson, I've won 4 out of my last 5. I've been a perennial contender for 10 years in the UFC. This is my 11th year with the company. The only guy to beat me in my last 5 fights is the world champion. When I beat Anderson, I should get my damn title shot. Dana, come on.
You know, Michael, obviously, him being a southpaw is going to be problematic. I know I'm here to point out the elephant in the room, my friend.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to know, so how are you going to handle it?
I'm going to handle it the good old-fashioned way by sticking this and this right in his face. This shin will connect with his chin. He will go down. It doesn't matter which way he stands. He can stand southpaw. He can stand orthodox. He can stand on his head for all I care. It doesn't matter. He's coming over to England, to my home, and he's going to lose. Simple as that, period.
How do you think he will be received over there? As the enemy or not? As the legend?
He should be revered, and I think he will be. Listen, he's a great guy. You know, he made a questionable decision, maybe throughout his entire career, but you know, the guy carries himself with class. He's been a great champion over the years. I can't see why, you know, he would get booed. Of course, people do feel strongly against cheats, so maybe he won't. But listen, I respect the guy, I do. I have fun and games in the media. Of course I respect him, and I know what he's capable of. You know, he's a big, tall, experienced fighter, somebody that has incredible finishing ability. But I'm confident in what I've done.
Most people think it'll stay on the feet. Do you think that'll be the case?
Oh, it'll stay on the feet for a little while until I choose to take it down, then it will hit the floor. And he says that he's a black belt. I'll tell you right now, he is not a black belt, and shame on him for calling himself a black belt. I've watched his fights, I've studied his fights. A black belt is better than what he's displayed. He will go on the back, he will eat elbows, he will eat punches, and he will not get back up.
Did I hear you were predicting a second round finish? Is that what?
That's the plan. We've all got a plan, right? That is the plan.
With the comments you've made about his age, are you fearful that with a victory, people will say, oh, he was washed anyway?
Of course people will say that, and rightly so, because it is a valid point. You know, he's going to be almost 41. That said, I'm 37 the day after my fight, so I've got a small age advantage, if you will, but still, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He's the type of guy that looks after himself. He's not a reckless party animal like I am. I'm not really, I'm joking. I don't see that as too much of an issue. I'll tell you what I think is an issue. The fact he's had one fight in the last 2 years, and that's because he was recently suspended. That's the biggest issue. Ring rust is a real thing, and he's a little bit older, and he's under a lot of pressure, a lot of scrutiny, and I think it will affect him.
Granted, we know what the outcome was with his fight against Nick Diaz, but what were your thoughts on the performance of his performance in the cage?
I thought he looked very beatable. I thought it didn't look, it wasn't a vintage Anderson Silva, let's just put it like that. Nick Diaz did the right thing. He didn't give him too much respect. Anderson, over the years, has traded on his confidence and his finishing ability, what he's done to people in there, and they're intimidated. The fight's over before it even starts. I mean, look at the fights with Yushin Okami. He was terrified. A lot of these opponents, even Vitor Belfort, which was a great win, was standing in front of him like this, like a rabbit in the headlights. Not a duck in the headlights. Like a rabbit in the headlights, and got front kicked in the face. Nick Diaz didn't give him that respect. He even led on the floor at one point, and it threw Anderson off. You know, you can't do that. I will not be fearful of him. You see the same thing with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is the master right now, and he has his opponents beat before he even gets in there, you know, and Diego Brandao, Dustin Poirier, you know, the list goes on and on and on. He's beaten them before it even starts, and that's what Anderson had. He will not have that against me.
What were your thoughts on Luke Rockhold's performance against Chris Weidman and that fight overall, him becoming the champion?
I thought it was a stellar performance. He did very good. I knew he would beat Chris Weidman. I predicted that. And I'm starting to sound like bloody Conor McGregor. I predicted that. No, I did though. Chris is a great fighter. He's a great person. I wish him all the best. But I do not see him as elite. And I didn't see him beating Luke. I thought Luke would stop the takedown, which he did. Oh, whatever. Luke did well.
Mike, you've got a successful radio show going on. I think you have to go do right now.
Yeah. Are you trying to get rid of me?
No, I'm just asking.
Oh, sorry, guys, I gotta go.
Not a lot of bucket list fights I would think left for you. Are you starting to think at all about the end?
No. I'm certainly not thinking about retirement. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. When I can't compete at this level anymore, then I'll retire. Fact is, I'm getting better. I'm getting better physically and mentally. Mentally is the biggest thing. Everybody talks about how this sport is, you know, such a mental trip, and doing it for so long, being my age, being at the top of the game for so long, you would think I would know it all in that regard. But the fact is I don't, and I'm still making strides in that area. I've worked very hard with my boxing coach, Jason Perillo, on the mental side of things, and I'm a new person. I'm a new beast in there. I will not be fighting on emotion anymore. Cool, calm, collected. Killer, if you will, anything else beginning to see.
So listen, who's your path to the title then? If you say that getting past Anderson would position you even better,
yep.
When you look at what's going on at the top.
I'll beat Spider Silva.
It's a logjam.
Romero has just tested positive. Call it what you will. He's out. Jacare just lost. And
Jacare and Vitor are going to fight each other. So.
Yeah, well, there's two cheats, and I'll say it right now. Jacare looks smaller in his fight, can't deny that. And Vitor, don't get me started. You know, we've all got places to go today, I'm sure. Romero's out the window because he's another scumbag. Vitor's a well-known scumbag. He's had his shot. Jacare is going to continually shrink whilst he's off the juice. Who else is there? Let's be honest. Who else is there? Tim Kennedy. He's off making a show anyway. But we can rematch. He got me on the best night for Tim Kennedy possible. But yeah, there you go. Simple as that. I'm going to beat Anderson. Hopefully I should fight for the title.
When you name off that many names that are associated with drug use, do you ever think, what if I'd have just done it? What if I'd have done it?
It's never occurred to me once. It's never ever occurred to me to take performance-enhancing drugs. I'm a worrier. I worry about everything. The smallest little thing. I don't sleep at night. If I was doing that, I wouldn't be able to stand there and talk to you guys. I'd be terrified. My hair's already going grey, but it'd be a lot greyer than what it is now, believe you me.
Last question.
Make it a good one.
You know,
3 more. I'm the boss.
I mean, we're in the new era of testing now. Did
Yeah.
you ever worry at any point that maybe your window would close before there was a playing field in the sport?
No, I don't worry. I've had a great career. I'm very lucky. You know, I'm standing here after 10 years in the UFC, and yeah, I've got a lot of great memories. It's been a great career. It's nowhere near finished yet, but I don't look back and with any regrets. You know, it is what it is. That was the landscape at the time. Can't change anything. No point being bitter about it anymore.
Actually, why do you think you've lasted as long as you have?
Well, I'll tell you this. Perillo, my boxing coach, is good friends with BJ Penn. And they talk on the phone, and Perillo said to me one day, he said, BJ was talking about you last night. I said, wow, it's crazy. It's crazy. Bisping's still in there after all this time, training with these kids each and every day, training like this. How does he still do it? And I said, yeah, that's all well and good for BJ to say that. He's a 2-division champion in the past. I've never done that. I've never been a world champion, and it pisses me off. And I'll say this now, I don't mind saying it. Sat there at the desk doing UFC Tonight last week. I've got Dominic Cruz on this side. I've got Daniel Cormier on this side. I want one of those goddamn belts. I know I'm good enough, you know, and I deserve one. And all these people have cheated me out of it. And as long as I'm here, and as long as I can compete, I will continue to put on great fights and continue my quest for that title.
Thank you, guys.
Adios.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.